out to share priorities and a shared vision for Denver's future. Our annual goals are not just the mayor's, but they're all of us as residents of Denver. They represent the collective commitment of the city to make Denver safer, more affordable, and more vibrant. City Council, as a body, has worked closely with the mayor and his team to ensure these goals reflect the needs and aspirations of Denver residents. When we set citywide goals, we're setting a roadmap for progress that touches every neighborhood, every family, and every business. When these goals are ambitious, but Denver has proven time and time again that when we work together, let me repeat that. When we work together, all of us together, we can achieve the extraordinary. And now it is my honor to introduce Mayor Mike Johnston, who will share the 2026 citywide goals and the vision that will guide the city's work this year ahead. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you so much to President Sandoval, who's been an amazing partner on all things. I think before I step into our vision for the year, I do just want to say a thing about this last weekend, which I know has been a hard one for many residents of Denver. I think not just watching the heartbreak from Minneapolis, but the uncertainty and the fear that we know settles in members of our community across the city who are worried about what happens if they too are targeted or if they too stand up to support neighbors who are at risk. And so just name that this was a weekend of significant loss for all of us and hardship, and that we are mindful of that as we go into all the things we're working on building in this city for the year ahead as a place where folks feel safe, feel seen, feel supported, and that is one that we're deeply committed to. I will also add that I know for on a smaller scale, Kayla and I were talking outside, I know for many of us also yesterday's Broncos defeat was a heartbreak, not just because we love the team and love the work that they did, but because sports is a function that binds the city together. It's the way in which we celebrate. It's the way in which we create moments of joy. It's the way in which we see opportunities and possibility. And so I know this maybe was not the Monday morning folks wanted to wake up to, but for us it is also a reminder of what's possible when you build things that deliberately bring people together in a time when the country is pushing more and more to rip people apart. And so we hope this vision for the year is about that capacity to bring people together, to bind them together, and to deliver a city that sees everybody, supports everybody, and honors everybody. And so excited to talk to you about that vision. As you may remember, you can go to the next slide. I want to say for a minute, sometimes when you're in the midst of doing something difficult, in Colorado we use the metaphor of climbing a mountain. If you are out to do a 14er, somewhere halfway up that hike, it is often helpful for you to stop and look back on the terrain that you have already conquered. Because sometimes when you look at the terrain ahead, it feels daunting, intimidating, steep. And it's often by looking back at the daunting, intimidating, steep stretches that you've already completed that you both give yourself a sense of pride for what you've done, but also a sense of inspiration and motivation for what's coming. And so when we first took over this administration a little more than 2 years ago, we laid out a vision for a Denver that is vibrant and affordable and safe for all of us, and talked about what we thought that could look like. And I think it's important to spend a moment to say, halfway up this mountain, what do we see that we've collectively delivered? And if you go to the next slide, I think there are some really wonderful highlights that for us stand out as moments of great success over the last 2.5 years. As we look at our agenda around both safety and our efforts on homelessness, you'll see a 57% drop in homicides, which you may have seen as the largest reduction in homicide of any major city over the last year. We've seen a 55% reduction in auto theft. You think about how many folks in 2023 were frustrated because they'd had cars stolen or catalytic converters stolen. Our team has made dramatic impact on that. On our efforts around unsheltered homelessness, now a 25% reduction in homelessness in all categories, but a 45% reduction in folks that are unsheltered. That means almost 700 fewer people who are out on the streets at any given moment, and it means that we no longer have large encampments and tent cities around the city that we had previously. All great progress. On the affordability front, we've now added almost 5,600 affordable units over the last 2.5 years. The most important part of that is we know adding units and adding affordable units means we make the city more affordable for folks who want to be able to call this home, and that has worked. Right now, we're actually seeing rents dropping around the city around 5 to 10%, which means they are stabilizing and going down. So more and more folks working at this rec center, working at your favorite restaurant, working as your child's teacher or nurse have the chance to stay in the city and afford the city. On our efforts on making it easier to build in this city, we launched the Denver Permitting Office, which made a bold commitment that we would get every project done within 180 days of time in our hands. And to date, we have not had a single project run over that 180-day timeline. That has been a huge success for the teams across the city who work on that. And then on our agenda around restoring and revitalizing a vibrant city in every aspect, a lot of exciting things to celebrate. 16th Street fully successfully reopened and rebranded. We're very excited about the fact that in December of this month, for the first time, we hit 99% of pre-pandemic foot traffic in downtown for the first time, which means if you wonder, will Denver ever come back from the hard changes of COVID and construction? It is, and it is only continuing to grow and prosper in those ways. Very excited about the Vibrant Denver Bond that passed with almost 66% support across the city to make key investments in areas of growth. Excited about bringing on what will be the 4th largest park in our system, largest new park in 100 years, and the Park Hill Golf Course, soon to be Park Hill Park. And then, of course, on areas of joy we'll be celebrating for a long time, we are delighted to be welcoming Denver's first professional women's sports team in the Denver Summit, who will be kicking off in just a couple of months with now the U.S. women's national team captain, Lindsay Heaps, coming home to play for us. If yesterday's heartbreak was anything, it was a reminder of just how excited we are for another 50 years of Broncos games in this city. And it turns out it might be helpful to have a stadium with a retractable roof if we're going to host a lot more AFC championship games in January. So that might also be a lesson from yesterday. But really excited about that long-term partnership. And then one that we haven't talked about a lot, but we worked really hard with the state and with the city and county of Boulder to help bring the largest independent film festival in the world, which is the Sundance Film Festival, to Colorado. That will have events and programming in Denver as well as Boulder. So that's also for our arts community a real win. So those are all things we're very excited about in the last 2 years that give us a sense of purpose and hope about what's coming on the road ahead. Next slide. These are our 6 goals we've laid out. As you may have seen, we believe that these are not priorities that change year to year. They're a consistent part of our focus, and so you'll see us update our targets on what are consistent themes of what we believe to be the most important things the city's facing. Go to the next slide. I'll say a word about the vision behind each and a word about what our specific goal is for this topic. Our goal on a Vibrant Denver, our vision for a Vibrant Denver is to have a place that is the best city to live, explore, and do business. And for us next year, that looks like 2 very concrete, important steps. First is to fill 3 million square feet of downtown office space and retail space. And the second is to deliver catalytic developments on time in 2026. We targeted this need for vacant office space because there's about 7 million square feet of vacant office space in and around downtown. That means we're going to try to close almost half that gap in 1 year because we think that need is that urgent. And we focused there because that is where we have the largest bulk of open vacant office space. We'll have 3 strategies here that we'll focus on. One will be looking at how we can convert commercial office space into apartments and residential units. We already have about almost 500 units in the pipeline of the Denver Authority, the Downtown Denver Authority, to do that. We'll focus on how we keep the great business we have and expand them, and how we help attract new businesses to make those spaces home, and how we can use those spaces for other creative uses like adding more childcare facilities we need in our downtown, also adding more working space for artists or nonprofits who maybe never thought they could make downtown the place of work, but we'd love to welcome them home. The second part of this is making sure we deliver catalytic developments on time. As you know, when we talked about the bond package last year, our belief is in uncertain economic times, public investments make a catalytic impact on helping the economy recover. So for us, that means making sure all of our bond projects are moving on time and on budget. It means our 5-year capital improvement plan, which drives all the incremental construction that we do neighborhood by neighborhood, are moving. and that these larger signature projects like the Park Hill Golf Course, like Ball Arena River Mile, like our work at the National Western Complex, like the new Summit Stadium in Burnham, and on our Burnham Yard work around the Broncos Stadium, all of those are things that we believe driving those investments and keeping them moving will help move the economy in all of our neighborhoods and help improve quality of life in all those neighborhoods. Next one. Affordable. Here I've talked about both. The vision is everyone who wants to live in Denver can afford to call it home. And what do we do to take direct action on that? There are two parts, and I want to say a word about this. You'll see another goal here on delivering 2,500 more affordable units. That's true. We've added here a goal on permitting an additional 5,000 total units. And let me tell you why. What we know is that we have had success in stabilizing and even dropping rental prices in this city because we have added more units. And the more units we have, the more supply there is, the more we can keep control of pricing. And there's reason for us to be concerned about this. I want to share with you a little bit of data. If we look at the total number of new units that were permitted, if you go back to say 2017 or 18, we were permitting around 10,000 units a year. And that meant we saw real stabilization, flat rental prices in the years that followed in 18, 19, 20. Well, then in 2019 and 2020, that dropped to permitting only about 6,000 units a year. That led in the following years, if you remember, 21 and 22 saw some of the largest increases in rent we've seen in our adult lifetime. 12, 15% increases in rental prices. That was a huge challenge for the city. That was when we just dropped from 10,000 to about 6,000 units. In the past couple of years, we're only seeing about 4,000 units a year coming through to be permitted. Many of that is because of interest rates, economic challenges, but the problem will be if we don't see recovery in the total number of units coming through the pipeline, we'll get a shortage in supply again, we'll get too much demand, too little supply, and we'll see rent spike. That means the city would be at risk of becoming more unaffordable. That is an eventuality we cannot see happen. So that's why for us, we're both bringing on these affordable units where you're guaranteed that the rent is capped, that you don't pay more than 30% of your income to rent. It also means we have to bring in units at all levels of income because the more supply we have, the more that controls prices. If you want to talk more about moving chain indexes, I'd be happy to do that in the Q&A section. But it does turn out every new unit, even a market unit in this city, helps create about 0.8 additional affordable units because folks right-size to what their income can allow. So that's a bit about why this is our priority for affordable in 2026. Next slide. On safety. Here, our vision is that all Denver communities and public spaces are welcoming and free of violence. And if you go to the next slide, I'll talk about our goal. And then I want to talk to you about why we are here at this site. Because when we talk about the intersection of both safety and homelessness, Alma and Lincoln Park is an amazing story about what's possible here and what our teams have delivered. The goal here is to decrease gun-related homicides by 10% and reduce shootings in high-risk areas by 20%. Those high-risk areas have been part of our broader place network investigation efforts like Alma and Lincoln Park, where we saw neighborhoods where there were increased risks of violence. And to solve that, we needed all of our departments to work together. So yes, it's about our safety team. It's also about our Parks and Rec team. It's about our economic development team. It's about our excise and licensing team, our children's affairs, what services are available in a comprehensive way. And these efforts have paid off in dramatic fashion. I'll tell you about the place we're standing now, Alma Lincoln Park. About a year and a half ago in 2024, we had a number of large encampments around this park and up and down these streets. We had high levels of shooting activity and of violent crime. And then we launched this as a place network investigation site. We provided a bunch of wraparound services, and the change is now dramatic. In 2024, our Parks and Rec team here had to close all of our youth and adult programming in this park because it was no longer safe. Couldn't have t-ball, couldn't have adult softball. We had to close all of those. Then we launched the effort to work collaboratively on safety here, and a year later, the outcomes are remarkable. The violent crime and shootings in this neighborhood, the shootings in this neighborhood dropped 100% from 24 to 2025. We have 5 other P&I sites for which that is also true, that we've seen 100% drops in shootings. This site where we're standing has now gone 452 days since the last shooting. That's almost a year and a half. That deserves a round of applause, by the way, for our safety team. We went from 28 violent gun crimes in 2024 to 7 in 2025, almost a 75% reduction. And most importantly now, all of those outside programming, all of our youth and adult programs are open and full. People are enjoying all of the outcomes, and there are no encampments or tents surrounding this park. That is what a P&I site can do over time. That's what we've done over time. That's what we will keep doing. Now, after that good news, let me give you the word of caution that we are watching. Yes, the great news is we've seen historic drops in violent crime. The great news is we've seen the largest drop in the country. The challenge is there's about twice in Denver's history where we've been this low a level of homicides. We're at 37 this past year. Those two times were once in 2000 and once in 2014. In both of the following years after that number, you saw a real, what statisticians would call regression to the mean, or what criminologists would say is the neighborhood stabilized back to a regular level, which means that often means you can see 30, 40% increases in years after a drop this significant. We saw that in 2000, it was a 45% increase in the following year. 2014, it was a 62% increase. So our first goal is to hold this new low baseline we've created and try to incrementally drop it. That's not just true for us. So City of Boston saw a historic drop in their homicide rate in 24. That went up about more than almost 40% in 25. And so they've now settled in about 30 homicides a year. That is the low water mark for the country. If we deliver another 10% drop, we will be at or among the lowest violent crime rates of any city in the country. Our goal is to reach that level and try to stabilize at that level, but I want you to know we're facing headwinds to do that. That's never been the pattern before in Denver, so we will have to deliver these strategies like the one you've seen here in a different, more detailed, more committed way to show that we can not just deliver those results, but keep them. That goes to our next topic, which is our All in Mile High effort. What you'll also see, and by the way, folks that have questions, after this, we're going to do a brief walking tour for you of this site in the neighborhood, invite media to come. We'll show you a couple of these locations and tell you more about the story. Also happy to take questions there. But part of that story will be the large encampments we had surrounding this and how we connected those folks, both to services and to housing. I think Aaron Atencio and Cole Chandler are both here from our team who will talk about that. But our goal here is Denver is a place where street homelessness is rare, brief, and non-recurring. Go to the next one. I want to say a minute about this goal because you'll notice, those of you that have been tracking this goal carefully, this is a different framing of this goal. In the past, we focused on how many people we're going to bring indoors each year. It's a little bit like saying when you're starting with the ball at your own 1 yard line, the goal is can you go 10 yards? Can you get 10 yards farther ahead? Now we are in a place where 2 years in, 45% reduction in street homelessness. We think now it's a question of actually how far away are we from the end zone? How close are we to the end result we have, what we hope for the city? I want to talk about how we get there and what that looks like. So the goal here is that we will get to a 75% reduction in street homelessness starting in 2023 when we set this goal to try to end street homelessness in 4 years. We are now tracking our path towards that goal. And let me say what I mean by that, because people often ask, well, what does an end to the cycle of street homelessness look like? It does not look like you will never ever see a person on Colfax who may have just been evicted from their home or maybe in a relapse and is struggling with addiction. That is not what it looks like. What it looks like is we get to a stage where the total number of folks who are entering or experiencing homelessness in Denver at one time is smaller than the number of available beds we have to move them into. So that would look like if there's something like 200 or 250 people on the street at any given time, and we have 250 open beds, then that means as soon as you enter homelessness, we can find you, we can connect you to services, we can get you up and out. So that every month, if there's 200 people that enter homelessness, 200 people exit. That is what we would call an end to the cycle of street homelessness. That's what we delivered last year for veterans, the largest city ever to do that, where it's not to say that there won't ever be a day that a veteran in the city is on the street. It means we now know who they are by name, we know where to find them, and we have a bed to move them to. That is the end goal here, and that's what we will spend the next 2 years trying to reach. To make progress on that, our goal would be a 75% reduction would be we started in 2023 at about 1,450 folks on the street. We were at 785 last year. If we can land in 2027 somewhere around 400, that would put us on a path to by 2028 get down to 200 or 250 people in need, matched to 200, 250 open beds. That's where we're trying to head over these next 2 years. That's what this effort is focused on with a lot of the help of partners in this room. The second part of this goal is also new. As you'll see, we focused on a plan to address all homelessness reports within one business day. I can tell you more if you want a long story about how hard we've worked to unify all of the different response systems in this city. So someone might call 911 because they see someone in distress. Someone might call 311. We now have the capacity to integrate our response across all of our teams in the city, whether that's a public health outreach worker, whether that's a host outreach worker, whether that's a street ambassador with the Denver Dream Center, whether that is a DPD, HOT, or SET team member. All of those can be integrated into one system. So our goal is if you ever see someone in distress, or there is someone in distress, we will get the right team member to the right place to provide the right support within one business day. That is a bold and new commitment on our side. Next slide. All right, you're almost done on the last two. You've been very attentive. Climate resilient. Our vision here is that every Denver neighborhood is powered by clean energy and protected from climate risks. And this looks like for us two things. One is installing 5,000 clean energy systems citywide and developing 50 acres of green infrastructure. Those focus on the needs of both cutting carbon pollution and of providing resilient environment. The clean energy systems, what we mean there are solar, EV charging stations, battery storage, heat pumps. Those are the things that move us into clean energy usage, reduce carbon pollution. We want to do 5,000 more of those as a way to cut that emissions. The second one is green infrastructure. It is how do we create the built environment and the natural environment to be one that is more conducive to reducing heat, to capturing more water, and preventing flooding. That looks a lot like less concrete and asphalt and more either open space or grass or permeable surfaces and trees that can provide shade, that can absorb water, that can protect us from heat. So those will be our priorities there. Really our Parks and Rec team and our Transportation Infrastructure team will be the primary leaders on that green infrastructure work, and our CASR team, thanks for their great work on our clean energy systems. And last but not least, some of you already, I can see you saying, wait a sec, I think you changed the title of this goal and you get a gold star. You are correct, we did. Last year we called this family friendly, and we got good feedback from our children's affairs teams and our nonprofit partners that our hope is that every goal in this city contributes to making this city family friendly. If it's safer, if it's more affordable, it's more vibrant, those all help support families. But this goal is uniquely focused on the experience of being a child in this city. How do we make sure that you have high quality care, high quality opportunities for engagement and enrichment, high quality opportunities for work? And so our goals here are two. If you go to the next slide. One is we are going to work to deliver a comprehensive citywide framework to expand affordable, reliable childcare. We are fortunate to have one of the great models in the country for high-quality preschool that Elsa and her team of the Denver Preschool Program lead and run. We think there is a lot for us to learn and design about how we could use that program that serves 3- and 4-year-olds so well to think about what we could do to serve infants and 1- and 2-year-olds in a unified system to make sure that a child from birth to age 18 has incredibly high-quality care and education all the way through. So we're going to work with our nonprofit partners and outside stakeholders to try to envision what that path forward could look like. The other one is we do want to keep focusing on connecting young people to quality out-of-school programming, places like this, and to work opportunities. So that 5,000 is a combination of two goals. One is around our out-of-school time, summer school, our summer programming, after-school programming. We'll look to add another 3,000 young people to that, roughly 60,000 young people experiencing that now, and to try to put 2,000 more young people to work. We think every high school student, as a part of their growth in Denver, should have an opportunity to work, to learn that discipline, learn those skills, learn to make money and financially plan and support your family. And so that'll continue to be a priority for us there. All right, last one. This is also a new addition we have is last year we had a lot of folks who said, hey, really excited about the goals, what can we do? Credit to President Sandoval, she and I are working together. She will help design an effort where each of our council members will be involved. We'll have council members involved in each of these goals who will help be thought partners and advisors to us on implementing this. But we also want everyday residents all across the city to be engaged. And here are some direct ways you can. This one seems easy. As we look to help bring back and revitalize 16th Street in downtown, many folks haven't come back downtown in a while since the 16th Street was under construction or since COVID. Bring your family downtown for dinner or go to the Museum for Black Girls or the Museum of Illusions or go to see a show or go to see a game, but come downtown again. We'd love if you're an employer, small employer, big employer, we'd love you to be a partner in our summer job program. The more employers we have that participate, the more young people we can put to work. If you've been thinking about ever putting those solar panels on your roof or installing that heat pump or being able to invest in that EV charger, we have incentives to help you do that. We'd love to make a decision to do that. And if you want to engage in the community meetings about any of the projects the city has going, please come, have your voice heard, put your 2 cents in because it'll be better with your input. Similarly, Chief Thomas and our police department are hosting community meetings all around the city to get your feedback on what you like about how safety feels in your neighborhood, what you want for us to do better or differently. Join those if you can. Good reminder, as someone who's made this mistake before, it is time to start signing your child up now for summer programming and out-of-school programming. So do that because we'd love to get you engaged. And then finally, one of the things we've seen over the last couple of years with our success on our homeless services is the number of calls we get to 311 and 911 about people in distress who are homeless have dropped more than 60%. That means more than 60% of Denverites don't in their everyday life see someone who they are quite worried about needing services. What we want to make sure you keep doing is we've built an even better system to respond to that than before. And so if you see someone say something, we will respond, we will help. You don't have to know what to do. You just have to know to reach out to us, and we will look to respond in that way. That is the close of this. I will say in a minute, I'm going to invite anyone that wants to come with us to do a short walking tour of the site, and we'll show you a little bit more deeply what we've done here and why we think it's worked, how we think it will work in other neighborhoods in the years ahead. I will close by saying that if we look at what the last 2 years have done, we're incredibly proud of the progress, despite what have been a serious number of headwinds, right? We both faced a budget crisis in the past year. We faced a very hostile federal government who was forcing federal cuts and divisive legal battles along the way. We had 40,000 newcomers who arrived from Texas that we weren't planning on and found a way to support them. At each of these turns, our city employees and our city residents have felt a lot of challenge to make it feels like you're running uphill. And what we're really proud of is in the midst of that challenge, we've actually delivered quite historic results. And also I think what we're excited about now is the ability to say, having been able to manage many of those crises and get us to a place where we think we have a clear path at even deeper and longer standing impact on the road ahead, we think Denver is positioned actually for a golden moment of recovery and revitalization that will be a defining gift we leave for the city over the decades to come. And that is the vision these goals try to evoke and the hard commitments that we are putting in place to hold ourselves accountable to delivering on those big dreams. And so I've often shared that we have 3 big goals in the city: listen, dare, and deliver. I think we've listened a lot. We have dared mightily on some very, very audacious plans. I think we have now given ourselves the opportunity to really focus on delivering on those audacious goals, those catalytic projects, those everyday core services that will make this the best place to live, best place to explore, best place to do business. So thank you all so much for being here. Love to welcome you on our tour if you want to join. Thank you so much.